guys, welcome to linguamarina. Today we're going to talk about a problem that a lot of you have. I've been doing this research on this channel. I've been asking you what do you guys struggle the most with, and most of you guys struggle with speaking, and I can totally relate to this problem. But today I want to dig deeper. We learn so much when we learn English. We focus on grammar, and grammar is tenses, grammar is articles, grammar is everything, like how we structure the way we speak. It's all about grammar. But the problem is we spend years learning grammar and we still can't speak. So today we're gonna talk about this problem and whether you actually need to learn grammar to speak English, because sometimes, I never told you that, but sometimes you don't really need to learn grammar to speak English. So if you're interested and if you have the same problem, please continue watching this video. Now, first of all, think about kids. Think about kids that are 4 years old, 5 years old, who live in the US. Do they learn grammar? Do they have any understanding of what future perfect is? I'll tell you what, my American friends, if I ask them, do you know when you use future perfect continuous? And they would tell me what are you talking about? What are these words? Nobody even thinks about that. And you know why? Because they learn English by learning phrases. This is one of the best tips I want you to take from this video. I'm gonna follow up with a lot more, but if you learn phrases, I have never been to Spain. You just hear that when people talk about places that they've never been to, they use this whatever tense they're using. It doesn't matter. You just learn the phrase. I've never been to Spain. Oh, okay, I've never been to that cafe. I've never been to that restaurant. I've never traveled to that place. You know that in this circumstance, when you're talking about a place you've never been to, you just use this construction. That's it. And you learn the phrase. Or I remember when I was learning conditionals, I was like, oh my God, zero conditional, first, second, third. How do you even remember them? And how on earth, when you're talking to a native speaker, how on earth would you just stop and say hey, I need to remember a second conditional structure because this is what I'm gonna use here? No, you just learn phrases. And something that helped me remember one of the conditionals was this song, Wish You Were Here. And I'm like, okay, so when he's not here and I wish he was here, I say, wish you were here. And this way I remember the construction. I also remember that you were, not you was. This is a typical mistake, right? So learn phrases. Stop doing this word by word learning. Learn those phrases. And once you notice that, oh my God, I've heard this phrase before, this is something I need to learn because native speakers use it a lot. And then no need to focus on grammar. No need to say, oh, wish you were here. First conditional. Okay, I'm gonna write that. No, you just remember the phrase. The more content you consume in English, the more phrases you get exposed to, the better you get at speaking, right? This is super obvious. So TV shows, YouTube, whatever. But please make sure you're actually noticing those phrases, wish you were here, I've never been to, what's up, whatever. Just make sure you notice them. One tip to expose yourself to more information in English is to read books. But what happens with reading books is sometimes we just get stuck on one book and we spend a month reading one book. And in the end, we're like, okay, this is taking too long, and we just drop it. The sponsor of today's video is an app called Kuber. And what they do, they take books and condense them into mini formats that you can either read or listen to in less than 20 minutes, which is super exciting because when I read books, I realized that, there is this one piece of information is just being presented from different perspectives over and over again. And I already got it. I already got what they mean. So consuming books in shorter formats is actually very, very useful. And because it's only 20 minutes, you will be able to read 3, 4, 5 books a week, which is amazing. And again, it gets you exposure, it gets you condensed information. People go to conferences, spend days there. A lot of conferences are still not allowed these days. But if you listen to 3 books in a week, which is an hour, you get very similar information just for less money and in less time. And information from books, and they also have conferences, is actually summarized by professionals in the area. So they're summarized by doctors, engineers, professors, etc. It's not like just a random person comes in and says, oh, okay, we're gonna leave this out and we're gonna include just this. It's actually done by a professional person. They have over 1,500 summaries spanning 20 different topics, so everyone can find something they enjoy. But keep in mind that it's all non-fiction, just because there is no much sense in summarizing fiction. But non-fiction is basically the type of books that I would read. It's mostly like self-development, business, marketing, or some kind of craft that I'm trying to master, like how to write a script, etc. The book that I've recently listened to on Kuber was Crushing It by Gary Vaynerchuk, and I can highly recommend it to everyone who's willing to start something new. Doesn't matter what it is, become a creator, become an entrepreneur, get into university of your dreams, move to a new country. It gives so much motivation. And because you're watching this video, you get 30 free days on their annual subscription. And also first 200 people who click a link below will get 20% discount. The link is in the description box. Now, we figured out that you need to be exposed to a lot of phrases. We figured out that you need to learn them by repeating them 5 to 10 times. Another psychological thing I wanted to talk about is that my parents are not very good at English, but, well, they've learned grammar, but they don't use it, and they don't need to use it. Whenever they go abroad, they just use, the words that they know, they use the body language or whatever to explain what they need. And guess what? People, even if you say, I go there yesterday, they understand that you went there yesterday. Okay, grammar is wrong. But the goal for us with learning English is to make people understand what you're talking about. And if you use the wrong grammar, people will be like, okay, that was probably wrong, but he used yesterday. So they would understand. Just make sure you include your body language, include your emotions so they could better understand what you mean. But again, don't focus on it. You know what I think is that a lot of people would have been a lot better off if they stopped being perfectionists. If they started speaking English before actually learning all the grammar rules. If they just let this go, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and speak English. I'm gonna make, the goal is to make at least 10 mistakes in this conversation. Doesn't matter, because I wanna speak. And if the person thinks that I'm dumb, whatever. Again, something that I found being in the US is that you can have the most horrible accent in the world. You can have the worst grammar in the world, and it might be very hard to understand you. But if you enjoy what you're talking about, if you're an expert in your field, people will listen to you. They don't care. Like when you come to a doctor, if he's really a professional, would you care about the way he looks, like what he wears? No, of course not. You would just care about him being a professional. So this is something I want you to remember. Like if you're a professional, if you are really passionate about what you're talking about, people would not care about your grammar. And once you have this in your head, this would really help you move forward. And I'm gonna give you some extra tips on how to speak English without actually paying too much attention to grammar. The next mistake is translating. Again, when we're translating from our language to English in our head, we try to translate different constructions that we use in our language. And again, it doesn't matter necessarily that what we say in our language is the same in English, because in English we have completely different rules. So stop translating. Again, if you want to use something overcomplicated like conditionals, just maybe remember one of them, like with that song, and that's it. And then you will just, the further you go, the more confident you become in some basic structures, the more you would be able to add on. But starting with the third conditional right away, that's too much. And because I think, again, the problem that we're talking about here is more psychological than a scientific problem that you need a certain amount of grammar to actually start speaking, I think all of you guys who are watching this video who are able to understand what I'm talking about, you have enough grammar in your head, and that you're just afraid that you're not going to be able to use the right construction. So the thing is, I would advise you to talk to a lot of people, but to put you at ease, talk to non-native speakers. This might be a controversial advice because, again, if you want to hear somebody who speaks perfect English, then yes, it's a teacher, it's a native speaker. But if you want to let go, if you have this psychological thing in your head that tells you I have to be perfect, when you're talking to a non-native speaker who makes mistakes, you just feel so much at ease because they also make mistakes just like you do, and it's psychologically so much easier. I notice it, my husband notices it, everyone who speaks English in the US, like all of my US friends who are non-native speakers, they tell me that it's a lot easier for them to understand me, to talk to me in English, because they know I'm not a native speaker, and I won't be like, oh, she said that wrong, because I know I make mistakes myself. I would never judge. So again, talk to non-native speakers if you just want to let go of this tension that you have inside that you can't speak English. Well, and the last but not the least, if you go to an English-speaking country, that's always the best, and try to interact with as many people as you can, not just like your teacher if you're taking a course or just your classmates. If you go alone, that's the best. So when I was 14, I traveled alone to the UK. I think it was 23 when I went, 22 when I went to Canada on my own. Again, amazing experience. I was staying with a local family, speaking to them in English and just doing everything that I had to do in English, which meant flying from Toronto to Vancouver, flying from Vancouver to Whistler, like visiting all the places and managing my lifestyle myself. So that helped me a lot. 2013, well, I went to the US with my family, but still, I was like on my own exploring Miami. I was on my own exploring New York. Again, this all really, really helps. So don't be afraid to travel alone. Traveling alone is, first of all, a challenge for your English, and second of all, it's a psychological journey because you are with yourself. You're digging deeper into yourself. You're digging deeper into your problems, and I just like how your perspective changes after those trips. Thank you guys so much for watching this video up to the very end. If you're not yet subscribed to this channel, please hit subscribe. I will see you very soon in my next videos, and bye bye.